Kobe Bryant. On January 26, 2020, Kobe Bryant, 41-year-old NBA star, boarded a Sikorsky S-76B helicopter in Orange County, California. He was traveling with his daughter, Gianna, 13, and 7 others, to a youth basketball event in Thousand Oaks. The flight departed John Wayne Airport at 9:06 a.m. Weather conditions were poor, dense fog, low ceiling, and visibility below 800 meters. The aircraft flew along Highway 101, maintaining low altitude for visual navigation. Controllers at Burbank Airport instructed the pilot to hold due to reduced visibility. After several minutes, clearance was granted to continue west. Radar logs later showed the helicopter climbing to 2,300 feet near Calabasas to clear rising terrain. The pilot, Ara Zobayan, held over 8,000 hours of flight experience and knew the corridor well. At 9:45 a.m., the helicopter began a rapid ascent, followed by an abrupt left turn. Seconds later, it entered a 1,200 foot per minute descent. The aircraft struck a hillside at 184 miles per hour near Las Virgenes Road. The impact fractured the fuselage and ruptured fuel lines. Fire spread instantly across dry vegetation surrounding the slope. Emergency crews arrived within 8 minutes, but were unable to approach due to the flames and terrain. No survivors were found. All 9 occupants, including Kobe and Gianna Bryant, died on impact. The NTSB and FAA secured the area and began on-site investigation that same afternoon. Data analysis later determined spatial disorientation in instrument flight conditions as the primary cause. Across Los Angeles, tributes appeared within hours. Murals, jerseys, candles outside Staples Center. The crash became one of modern sport's defining tragedies, ending a legacy built over 2 decades of excellence. Malik Sealy. On May 20, 2000, Malik Sealy, 30-year-old forward for the Minnesota Timberwolves, drove home from Kevin Garnett's birthday gathering in Minneapolis. He followed Highway 100 northbound towards St. Louis Park, the route he took after nearly every late-night practice or team event. It was 4 a.m. Traffic minimal, the road surface dry under sparse streetlights. Visibility was clear, the night air cold and still. At the same time, a pickup truck entered the highway going the wrong way. Its driver, Suksangguan Fengsin, later tested at 0.19 blood alcohol level, more than twice the legal limit. The truck moved southbound in the northbound lane, headlights on low beam. Sealy's Land Rover approached at normal highway speed, roughly 100 kilometers per hour, unaware of the oncoming vehicle ahead of the curve. Dispatch records showed no braking before impact. The collision occurred just south of Minnetonka Boulevard. Both vehicles struck head-on with catastrophic force. Metal compressed inward, the windshield imploded. Sealy was pinned behind the steering column. Airbags deployed, but the cabin collapsed. Emergency responders arrived within minutes. They forced the doors open, checked for vital signs, and began extrication. He showed no response. Paramedics confirmed death at the scene. The truck driver was pulled out alive, critically injured but conscious. Officers sealed the area. Debris scattered across both lanes. Fengsin was later convicted of vehicular manslaughter and sentenced to 4 years in prison. The Timberwolves retired Sealy's number 2 jersey in his memory. Fans filled the Target Center with flowers, candles, and handwritten notes. Dražen Petrović. On June 7, 1993, Dražen Petrović, 28-year-old Croatian basketball star of the New Jersey Nets, traveled through Bavaria, Germany, with his girlfriend and a teammate. They were returning from a Eurobasket qualifying match in Poland, heading south along the Autobahn 9 near Ingolstadt. Light rain had turned into steady downpour. Visibility was reduced to less than 100 meters. Traffic slowed as freight trucks formed a line across the wet highway. The Volkswagen Golf, carrying Petrović, followed behind the convoy in the passing lane. Road reports later confirmed multiple skid warnings along that section. Ahead, a semi-truck braked suddenly after another car lost control on the slick surface. The driver of the Golf attempted to slow, but distance and traction left no margin. Petrović sat in the front passenger seat without a seatbelt, resting against the dashboard. The vehicle's speed was estimated at 110 kilometers per hour before impact. At 5:20 p.m., the collision happened. The Golf struck the truck's side panel and crumpled on contact. Then the windshield collapsed inward. The frame folded across the cabin. Petrović sustained fatal head injuries instantly. The driver and rear passenger were rescued with severe trauma but survived. Emergency units from Ingolstadt District Fire Service reached the site within minutes. Investigators documented skid length, vehicle position, and weather data before clearing the scene. News of his death spread within the hour to national broadcasters and NBA officials in New York. Dražen Petrović was mourned across Europe and the United States. Tens of thousands lined the streets of Zagreb for his funeral procession. What began as a peaceful journey through Germany ended in a deadly tragedy. Len Bias. On June 19, 1986, Len Bias, 22-year-old basketball standout from the University of Maryland, was found unresponsive inside his dormitory suite in Washington Hall. Only 2 days earlier, he had been drafted second overall by the Boston Celtics, expected to join one of the strongest teams in the NBA. That morning, the campus was quiet until an emergency call reached Prince George's County 911 at 6:32 a.m. During the night, Bias had celebrated his draft selection with friends and teammates. The group met in his off-campus apartment, sharing food, music, and late-night conversations about his move to Boston. At some point after midnight, several witnesses later confirmed cocaine use inside the room. The drug intake triggered sudden distress. Bias fell backward onto the bed, his body convulsing. Teammates attempted CPR while another sprinted to the hallway phone to call for help. Dispatchers instructed chest compressions until paramedics arrived. Emergency medical staff reached the scene within minutes. Bias was in cardiac arrest, unresponsive to ventilation or compression. He was transported to Leland Memorial Hospital in Hyattsville. Doctors applied defibrillation repeatedly. No pulse returned. After 55 minutes of resuscitation, Len Bias was pronounced dead at 8:55 a.m. Hospital officials cited acute cardiac arrhythmia caused by cocaine toxicity. Outside, reporters gathered in the parking lot as word reached national networks. By midday, the news dominated every American sports broadcast. Lorenzen Wright. On July 19, 2010, former NBA player Lorenzen Wright, age 34, was reported missing in Memphis, Tennessee. He had played for multiple teams, including the Memphis Grizzlies and Cleveland Cavaliers, and was known throughout the city for his community work. That night, he left his ex-wife's residence in Collierville, driving a white SUV, and never returned. Family members contacted police after 2 days without communication. Cell tower data traced his final phone activity to southeast Memphis, just after midnight on July 19th. Dispatch logs recorded a brief 911 call, ending abruptly amid multiple loud reports interpreted as gunfire. Investigators searched fields and wooded areas across Germantown Parkway and Hacks Cross Road for more than a week. No further electronic signals were detected from his phone or vehicle. Detectives began examining financial records and recent disputes for possible motive. On July 28th, a search team located human remains in a remote clearing near Callis Cutoff Road, east of Memphis. Spent shell casings lay scattered in a radius of several meters. Identification through dental comparison confirmed Lorenzen Wright. The autopsy documented 5 gunshot wounds, 2 to the head, 2 to the chest, 1 to the forearm. No weapon or vehicle was recovered at the site. The homicide unit classified the case as a targeted killing carried out in an isolated location. In 2017, investigators recovered a .380 caliber handgun from a lake in Walnut, Mississippi, linking it ballistically to the crime. Evidence led to the arrest of Shara Wright, his ex-wife, and Billy Ray Turner, a church deacon. Prosecutors alleged that both had conspired to lure Wright to the location and ambush him. In 2019, Shara Wright pleaded guilty to facilitation of murder and received 30 years in prison. In 2022, Turner was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment.